alive, can't put me in a box. I redefine any definition you got. I am the tiger, I'm making steps to the top. The flames, I whip it up, you just gotta hand me the rock. Take a seat, you cannot stand it. All I know, the flow harder than a Scotch bonnet. Don't try studying me, you cannot manage. This ain't what you want, bitch, I'm a fucking phenomenon. This ain't what you want, bitch, I'm a fucking phenomenon.
Bitch. When I look in the mirror, I see a black man. When you look in the mirror, you see a cracker, nigga. You don't pick fun at his skin tone.
So do you guys hear this?
I heard you albino.
Yo, Pharaoh Allah, he dropped.
Oh, I ain't speaking on it.
Oh, okay.
I ain't speaking on it.
Okay.
Dirty ass don't get no worse.
You hear this? Do you hear it? Do you hear it?
I'm not gonna put that out there right now. Because I'm hoping y'all keep my name out your mouth and we go our separate.
All right. So apparently we're talking about Dr. Umar Johnson. So I have done some pretty extensive research at this point, you guys. When I say like previously, I thought that I had done some research, like it's nothing like what I've done so far. It's absolutely nothing like what I've done so far. Man, listen, for those of you who are out there, who are mental health professionals, I'm going to need you guys to come in here and let's have a discussion. For those of you who are connected to Umar Johnson, I'm going to need you guys to share this content. For those of you who are part of his fan club, fan base, following, all of that good stuff, I'm going to need you guys to go ahead and hit this like and share button. And let's have this conversation. Chime in, bring your commentary, bring your questions, because I've got questions. So I mentioned on my accountability video where I talked a little bit about not only Umar Johnson, but I talked a bit about Kevin Samuels and Tommy Sotomayor, Tanya TKO. I've mentioned what I've gone through since I first started to cover this stuff that I'm seeing from Umar Johnson. There is a comment that I saw today on one of those videos where, because someone who is following me happens to be someone who was mentioned by name in this content where Umar Johnson is threatening other people, right? Because these people are following me, I was accused of being a bandwagoner or coming through with information that these people had given to me. And that's the reason that I did that content. Hello, Rainbow Rev. Yes. So yes, I was accused of being a person that you guys had contacted to represent your interest. Let me be very, very clear. Prior to having any contact whatsoever, or to Rainbow Rev and I think it's Anti-Afro Sister or something like that, AAS. Before I had any contact with either one of those individuals, I was already threatened by email by followers of Umar Johnson. And I had already done the coverage that I did on his content. Let me make this very clear. Come on in. Welcome to Life Discussions with Dr. Jefferson. This is where we have difficult discussions about the things that happen within the Black community, the things that happen within the American community, the things that happen in this world that affects the Black community in America. And I am here for the difficult conversations. I'm here for the, pissing people off and making them feel uncomfortable, because at this point, I feel like somebody should feel uncomfortable. You have a man who is walking around calling himself a doctor, calling himself a psychologist. And in the same sentiments, in the same conversations, in the same speeches that he's delivering, he's calling for the death of young Black men because young Black men are too far gone on the corner and he cannot psychologize them. I think that's the term that he used. Let me tell you something. I have a really, really long history of education. Okay. I am a sponge for information, for education, and I believe in elevation and education of people. I'm insight driven and outcomes based as a clinician, as an individual in my life, and I'm all about pragmatics. So if it does not make sense, okay, I am here to check it, to ask the difficult questions, to have the difficult conversations, to hold people accountable that need to be held accountable. And let me tell you guys something else. In sitting with and listening to hours of content that this man has put out into the atmosphere, where we are responsible for rearing and cultivating and shaping the lives of young Black people, I need somebody to tag this guy that sent me this comment. I really do. Let me see if I can find his. Let's get here and figure out what is this. Oh goodness. Give me just a second. Expose ya. That's his name. So I'm gonna need somebody to definitely find this guy, tag him, bring him here. Somebody share the contact with him, because I want to clarify, I'm not a rah-rah team for anybody, and I do not present with biases when I'm presenting this information. I'm here for accountability simply because, as a person who had absolutely no idea of this guy, who he was, nor his content in any way whatsoever, okay? Didn't even know who he was. You're a nobody to me, Umar Johnson. You're still a nobody to me. However, you're a threat to the Black community and the stability therein. The problem that I have with people like him is that he is pushing out rhetoric that is very dangerous for the vulnerable population and the vulnerable position that the Black community finds itself in. The problem that I have with Kevin Samuels is the exact same issue. The problem that I have with Tommy Sotomayor is the exact same issue. So when I say that Umar Johnson is responsible for the demise of young Black men, when I pulled up those statistics per 100,000 people, and we're looking at dead Black men, dead young Black men, dead babies in the Black community in the 600s, 680s per 100,000 people in one city, just one city. And this person is out there who has some level of understanding, because I got to go ahead and say this, because I got a real problem with a lot of things that I've been seeing with him, but I also have a problem with people that are also equally as educated, that are following him, that are pushing this narrative, that are a part of the problem that is plaguing this community. And my children are raised in this community. My kids are here in this community. And so for me, what I see is, this is a problem that could potentially affect my kids, even if not directly and indirectly affect them. It will affect my children. I have watched this guy go from one personality and shift into a complete different person. I have sat with and I have analyzed what was before me. I have looked at him in his delivery of these speeches. I have tried to narrow down what is it that we're seeing. I have listened to this man's father call to his attention the threatening behavior that he has when it comes to him approaching people who do not agree with him. I have sat with the idea that, oh my God, I don't really feel like we're dealing with just narcissistic personality characteristics or narcissistic personality disorder, because this is something that goes deeper. The issue in our Black community is also something that goes deeper, and it comes from the something that is deeper within this guy. So when I'm talking about accountability in this conversation, I need these Black parents. I need these young Black men. I need these young Black women who invested their finances, their ideas, their time, their attention, their following, their likes, their clicks, and all of that to this man. I need you guys here for the conversation. So I'm going to need you guys to do a really big push right now. And I need you guys to like and share this content with the people that are a part of your network so that we can have a collective conversation about the impact not only of this guy on our society, but equally about where we are as a society of people and as a collective, as we decide how it is that we're going to respond to the constant narrative about violence that this man has spewed and put into our community. Okay. So let's do this. Definitely. And let me tell you something, you guys. Let me move my mic for a sec. I know you guys hear all this rain here. It is definitely raining here in Atlanta. Okay, now you guys can unmute your mic. The pop filter here. But so here is my thing. We have to be accountable for the behaviors that we adopt in order for us to be able to see the world that we see in the light that we see the world we see in. In watching this man's father make a video and call to his attention the dangerous place he is in as a result of the things that he's saying to this community, as a result of him calling people out and threatening them, as a result of him asking people to pull up on him. Like as people, right? I think that oftentimes, I'm going to say this because like I was going to say about his support from other clinicians in the Black community. I'm going to say this. We are individuals and also clinicians, okay? So as practitioners, whether we're, dual faceted practitioners and integrative practitioners in mental health, which means that we understand Ayurveda, we understand the medical component, we understand the prescription writing, medication management, and we understand psychotherapy grounded in theory. Or if we are people that are only grounded in theory, regardless of where we sit in this position as a mental health provider, qualified mental health person, we are still people. And underneath that, if the clinician is not going out and getting the help that they need, what kind of services are you providing for the people that you're working for? What kind of stability can you provide for them when you're not even stable yourself? What are you doing? I have questions for you folks. Help me understand why it is that you have invested your time, your money, your efforts in this guy, because even from the very beginning, I gotta say, and I'm just finding out that this guy is here in Atlanta today, but even from the very beginning, things were very questionable for me. The very first time that I happened to see something on YouTube in relation to him, which is how I came across his content, right? I was just like, what is going on here? Like, what is this? who is this guy? Like, let me see, you know, I'm pretty connected, you know, in the mental health field. I do trainings for professionals in this field. I do competency training and all of that good stuff. So I know a lot of people across the United States and abroad internationally, because I'm an international family therapist. For me, I'm asking myself, like, how do I not know about this person? And what's going on with him? Like, what is this stuff that I'm looking at? And then as I got deeper into the content, I noticed that, oh, wow, this person is calling for the assassination of young Black boys. And you have mothers, fathers investing in this guy, giving them their money. Help me understand, people. Help me understand. I'm only looking for the logic in all of this before I get to the nooks and crannies, because I am going to definitely get to that. I'm going to play this video and we're going to skip to some very, very integral parts that I feel like are a part of this conversation happening today, because I feel like maybe we've done an injustice as mental health providers and we've overlooked the danger and the threat that this person has become to our community. Maybe we're doing you a disservice. We don't need the Association of Black Psychologists to send him something. We need the APA to send him something. Because the reality is this. I understand that so many Black practitioners feel like we need spaces for only Black practitioners. However, we need the people that are nationally recognized to send a cease and desist letter to him for the purpose of him doing harm to all people. His harm is not limited to the Black community. His authority is not limited to the Black community when he is providing mental health services. His danger and the fact that he is a threat to everybody in America, and this separatist type of mindset is really something that grinds my gears about us. As clinicians, we're supposed to be helping people evolve into a greater state of being, helping people to balance themselves out and to continue their fight for having a life that is reflective of what they see as end stage goals. So send me who you reached out to, because now I'm going to do my work on my end. My thing is accountability. 110% accountability. And I can guarantee you the Council of American Marriage and Family Therapists does not take lightly to this stuff. This right here. So, you know, your children, our children, your neighbor's children, your friends' children, your white children in your neighborhoods, your Hispanic children in your neighborhoods, your Asian children in your neighborhoods, your Black children in your neighborhoods, your straight children in your neighborhoods, your non-binary children in your neighborhoods, your gay children in your neighborhoods, your lesbian children in your neighborhood. All of your kids in your neighborhood are your future, our future. And they are impacted by what this man is putting out there. Heavily impacted. Because what is happening is, I'm not sure how much you guys understand about the legal component and federal compliance and things like that, but there is a thing called terroristic threats. Okay? And that's a federal offense. What you cannot do is call for the assassination or the removal of another human being. Period. You cannot put a public hit out on somebody and not be sanctioned for that with jail time, you know, or something. I need you guys that have been targeted by this dude, very much like myself, to file charges officially in the official capacity. Okay, so not just a complaint, not just ask for assistance, but file official charges. Here's the thing. People like Umar Johnson are a threat to society, are a threat to the stability of people in the human experience who are trying to become the most integrative and great version that this world has ever seen in a country that is so broken, in a country that is divided, in a country that is confused, in a country that is still trying to define who it is. The country in and of itself right now is a whole bipolar episode. We cannot afford for people like Umar Johnson to be out here screaming and pushing this type of rhetoric and asking people to put up, or what did he say? We don't need to put down our guns. We need to go buy some more. He said that some of our kids have gone too far and they need to be put to sleep forever. What are we doing? What are we doing? This is my problem. In the Black community, we have a real issue with accountability. We don't know who to hold accountable and who to hold responsible for the atrocities that are in a part of the Black experience, okay? I'm going to just say that because that's what it really is. You know, the reality is this. Umar Johnson has made, not only has he made valid points, but he has definitely saw the validity in where we are as a Black culture, right? And he has capitalized off of that pain. He has capitalized off of that trauma. He has allowed people to come to him, share their traumas with him. And I know that you guys that are clinicians out there, I know you guys know what I'm talking about. Call it trauma bonding. You've allowed these people to be manipulated. We have. Because we've turned a blind eye. I feel like we've got to start holding folks accountable for the things that they do that affect the optimal behavior and growth of our children, of our community. We as a community cannot continue to thrive or grow or move in the direction of positive energy if we're telling each other to pick up arms and go and harm each other, continue to kill each other. How can you tell someone to do that? How can we make the cry for help and say that we are living in a system that is not representative of us, that does not work for us, that does not love us, that does not embrace us, that does not pull us in, does not make us an inclusive component to them? How can we say those things? And how can we say the police are against us when we will not take a stand against this man? Help me understand. Help me. Help me understand. I would like to know, for every single person who has or is a follower currently of Umar Johnson, if you have had an encounter where you were a follower of Umar Johnson, I want you guys to go ahead and let me know now. We need to have a conversation. If you want to share your experience live with your encounters with Umar Johnson, you are welcome to come in on the StreamYard. I'll hit the link and put it in the description below, wherever you're watching this from. But make sure you guys hit the follow and the like button. Also subscribe to my YouTube. Share this content now. I'm about to play some video for you because we're going to go up and down and around this footage because I really need accountability to happen today. I really do. It's just absolutely insane. This 100%.
Suit up, buckle up, grip up, because
All right, so let's talk about that. Okay, it's very clear that Umar is unstable. Okay, it's very clear that this guy is unstable. He is struggling with his identity. The guy has changed his name, for God's sakes. He's changed his name. He's become one person to another person. And I'm gonna go through and we're gonna play clips and different clips of this. I know that some of you have seen this content. I know that it's disturbing. And it's a lot to take in. It's a lot to take in. I find that the proper response to seeing a person like this is to try to figure out what is it that he's going through. He appears to be a person that is struggling with a couple of different personality deficits or whatever. I thought maybe he's having like a bipolar episode or something. He goes from one version of himself to another version of himself. But I do definitely see that he is a good fit for a narcissistic characteristics, but more so antisocial personality disorder and borderline personality disorder co-occurring. I see that very much there. I see him in his delusions. I see him in his transient state of being. I see him in his real heartfelt belief that there is something coming. There is a war of sorts coming. And what I can see is that war is the one that he's inciting. So I want to know from you guys, the ones of you who supported Donald Trump being held accountable for inciting the riots at the Capitol, I want to know what your energy is in response to the things that Umar Johnson is inciting. I want to know how you guys feel about how hypersensitive he is and the way that he handles people who don't agree with him. I want to know how you feel about the way he handles people who are, just not buying what he's selling. And I really want to know what you guys feel about him having defrauded all these people. I know that there is a tremendous amount of talk about fraud in Umar Johnson. A lot of people are like, well, he's been talking about building a school for X amount of time. And over that time, he's not built a school. However, there is evidence that he acquired the property. I think it was last year or so. Was it last year or the year before? One of them, he acquired the space. His father, in his appeal to him, to come home, to get off of the internet. The fact that he said get off of the internet tells me that maybe these are characteristics that he's been seeing in his son for some time, and he has a real issue with governing himself. I've seen that online, there are some claims that this guy is married, he has a wife, and then there are other claims that he wants to be a part of the alternative lifestyle via polyamorous relationships and is seeking a polygamous marriage. I also see that there is a lot of misuse and abuse of Pan-Africanism. I don't understand how we could be so lost as a culture of people and so broken as a culture of people that we are in search of an element and identifying with something that there in no way we can relate to at this stage, right? We are so far removed from being descendants of our ancestors that are so many lines back that came on boats, on ships here from Africa. Our culture is not of their culture. It's interesting to me that they consider Pan-Africanism to be a religion or whatever, but many people in organized and functional components of the 400 nations of Africa, the ones that are very much developed, are either Christian or Catholic or Islamic. So the same religious options that are in existence here or in existence there. I think that people are just so lost that they are willing to follow anyone. Who are we as parents when we say, as a part of the Black community, that we want to send our children to a school that defies the ideals, right? That defies the outcome that our ancestors fought and died for, which is inclusivity. We never asked for exclusion. Only when it was necessary, or only to the extent, should I say, to where it was necessary. We've always wanted to be an inclusive part of the whole, to not be excluded, to have people be expressive in and of themselves, allow one another to be who they will be without feeling ridiculed because of the color of their skin. On the contrary, Umar Johnson is basically targeting not only white people, and he has no problem with racial slurs. This is what really gets me. You guys will check every person on the internet, block their content. You guys will go through all of these different links to do this stuff. But here it is, this guy is a clear racist. He is clearly inciting hate and fear that is unjustified in our population. He is clearly traumatizing our young people. He's clearly disrespectful towards the authority of the Black woman. He is clearly dismissive and disrespectful toward the ideals of the Black woman. Not only the ideas of the Black woman, but the ideas of the Black man, the ideas of the Black family coming together, the ideas of creativity and a positive outcome for all Black people. He said specifically, the white man wants me to believe that I can help all of them, but I can only help 90% of them. The other 10%, we have to get rid of. So we've got to kill 10% of our boys, of our Black boys, because they're so far lost, right? That we cannot help them. That is the absolute most insane thing that I have ever heard come out of the mouth of a Black doctor of any sort. Of any sort. Help me understand, people. So let's go to the comments before I go back to some more of this video, because I kind of want to see what you guys are thinking. Awesomeness. He gets support from Black media and the Breakfast Club. Do you know what? The Breakfast Club situation is an entirely different conversation, because the Breakfast Club, I hear, people coveting Charlemagne, and he's an entire rapist. Not only is he, accused, he's a rapist. Like, what are you doing? Absolutely disgusting. Thank you for this. But he is a whole different discussion. We're going to talk about that, because Umar, in some of his video as well, he talked about women who had experienced rape trauma. He called them whores, and gave them potentials to be whores. Talked about a high level of promiscuity being classified as thotty girl disease or something like that. Thotty personality disorder, I don't know. But those are borderline personality disorder characteristics based off of the things that he was naming. I mean, but you would know that if you were a psychologist, if you are actually utilizing the resources. But like I said, there are several practitioners in this field. They go to school. I'm not really sure how they pass. And they can't tell you a thing about any theory or anything that ever came from any book, period. But it is what it is. I just have to do that. You said helping to promote balance and accountability is key. No time for weak men or women promoting hate. Exactly. Either or. For me, it's really huge that we uplift each other, that we do the work in our community that allows us to become the best versions of not only ourselves independently, but collectively as a unit, right? We have to learn how to be inclusive. We've got to learn how to welcome inclusivity as a component to who we are, because guess what? Everybody is a sprinkle of something and a sprinkle of that and a sprinkle of that. That's the reality. And just because people are a particular race, culture, creed, or whatever, it doesn't take away from or add to their value or validity. So you said Umar, Tommy, and Kevin have a lot of toxic similarities, but a lot of young men hang on to their every word. I agree. I heard in Kevin Samuel's interview earlier today that he was super happy to be resonating with young Black people because he feels like he can impact the value of their image. Intimidating, race baiting rhetoric is what I see him doing. I totally agree. I feel like Umar Johnson is the most upfront racist. And I know you guys have heard me say, I would rather a person tell me they're racist and show me they're racist so that I can know how to deal with them accordingly. And the reality is, yes, I would, but that's the point. I want to deal with you accordingly by way of dismissing you from the internet so that children do not have further access to you. Adults don't have further access to you, so that you cannot imprint yourself and impress yourself upon someone so much as to the fact that, or to the tune that they now start to believe in this crazy thing, these crazy ideologies that you have. Like, it is crazy to me, absolutely insane, that we have a person like him running around putting out a false narrative about a race war, a false narrative that further divides people. That is not to negate that Black people are descendants. Hear what I'm saying, Black folks. That Black people are a descendant of oppressed people. Okay, we are descendants of people who were severely oppressed. Okay, we have to own that. We have to. It's a necessity, but it doesn't mean that we have to become that. Do you understand? So those same oppressed people were prideful people. And talking to somebody that had a great grandparent who was a slave, right? I had a real relationship with her. There was no hard hearts. There was a sense of empowerment, faith, hope that tomorrow is going to bring about an entire different version of what the world will be. Opportunity. Having lived through, seen through so many adjustments or shifts, she was optimistic. So who are we right now in this generation of people that, we're 4 generations in, 5 generations, 6, essentially. Like, who are we to say that these people and their experience is the same as ours? We're just, it's not fair. It's not fair. Everybody's popping their fireworks outside and it's raining. Let's see. Comments. Are you gonna click other comments? He's paying attention and not paying attention, you guys. And you said you hated to hear this from a man on YouTube. For you guys who are men, have any of you had conversations? I know that Tough Love has a platform. Have you invited this guy onto your platform? I remember when I first did a cover of his information, people were telling me if I invited him on, he'd come, he'd sit, he'd talk. Hadn't happened. I've been targeted, but no interviews. Let's see. Next one. Okay. We need people that will help, not destroy. I totally agree. Hey, Money Boy Trey, what's going on with you? How are you doing? Thank you. Thank you. I think I saw this one. Just folks needing to be on a bandwagon. You know what? And it's interesting because one of the people that commented on one of my previous videos that I've done on him, like the first video that I did on him before this one or whatever, because this one's a lot more expansive, you guys. Just wait for it. One of the people who commented on it, though, they said that these folks, like the Rev and AAS, they said that they had contacted me to be another platform for them. Hello, I'm just building this platform on YouTube, but honey, I've been out here for years. I've been doing this for a while. Podcasting everywhere that you listen to podcasts. Go back and search for Life Discussions with Dr. Jefferson on Google. So I'm not a bandwagoner. I cover the very difficult conversations. This is what I do, and I'm just now coming to YouTube. But no, I'm definitely, I don't do the clout chasing thing. I'm all about what can elevate and help our community because we are in dire need of this right now. Like, yeah, we just are. We just are. Let's see. Okay, so I saw that one. All right, so now that I am caught up with these comments, I'm going to go and right. Oh, yeah, I talked about that too. I talked about him being here, and I didn't know that until I had already made it here. And actually, I passed right by the same park. Didn't even know it. Thank you. But yeah, man, yeah, you guys said quite a bit. So also, Mario J, tough love, you guys go ahead and share this comment for me. Let's see. Let's get back over here to this video really quick. I'm going to skip to a portion about that shows behavior shift. And you guys already saw a significant shift in his behavior and the level of hostility that presented as he was giving the speech. You saw that one. So let's keep watching because we got a clinical diagnosis in here. Gonna learn today.
For God! In 2019, Umar Johnson promoted the murder of 10% of Black boys.
I'm saying that to say this.
Okay, so he says that the kid had been in the school for a year, right? And he says that parents are lazy and, you know, maybe he's right. Some parents are extremely lazy. However, you've been acquiring funding to open up a school for the better part of 10 solid years, even more. All right. So you've raised $750,000 was the last admission that he said he had raised for the school. All right. Follow me, people. you spent $400,000 of that money to acquire the property. Where's the other $350,000? Where is it? Anybody else know? No? Anybody? Anybody got any ideas of where that money went? I mean, he's been taking a lot of trips, right? Eating a lot of Twizzlers and stuff like that on camera. Instagram, I think it is, that he was on Instagram Live. Yeah. He's been doing all of this stuff. You have not let these people know who have invested in you where their money is going to. Like, you made a video that said you had reached a particular goal and you had acquired property for this school, and you asked people for help, for assistance by way of offering their services if they were in the trades that you needed to be able to get the things up and running that you would need for this said school. And people reached out to you and you decided to not take them up on their offers. You decided to ignore them. Okay? Hi, how are you? How are you? So you decided to ignore these people who clearly said that they would be there to help you. You had one guy that said, you know what, let me go ahead and offer some suggestions. Let me offer some suggestions. And another guy that said, hey, let me offer you some structure and I'll do it for free. Not like my company is going to pay me free, like the plumber who offered his services, but I'll be your videographer for free, 100% free. People don't typically offer free services like that. I offer free services to clinicians that were, trying to start up a private practice for the first time due to COVID, and they didn't understand telehealth, the intricacies and things like that. I gave them those free services so that the community could benefit from those said services, right? And also these clinicians could find themselves grounded and in a place to where they could continue to offer help in the most efficient and competent way. That's what I did. However, when they went looking for the free services, my free services that I offered were, accepted because they were really looking for the services. They were really looking for help. So a person who's really looking for help, if a person really needs something and their intention on the outset is to do a particular thing, then they're going to follow through, especially when somebody's offering something for free that they otherwise would have to be paying in the thousands and thousands of dollars for, because this stuff costs money. Did you guys see that building? Like, come on. You're going to pay a lot of money to get this stuff restored and all of that good stuff. So come on, let's go ahead and view some more of these antics.
Is reflected in his views.
Although, like I say, I don't care if you get offended. We can handle that outside.
Fuck you looking at my chest for, you pro-homo nigga? What you looking at my chest for?
What are we watching? What are we watching? Clearly, this man is becoming extremely volatile. He's coming unglued. At every single rant that we see on the internet, where he's on social media, he's threatening people. He is like textbook antisocial personality disorder, borderline personality disorder. Dude has completely reinvented himself over the course of the time that you guys have known him on the internet, and to be begging for things from you. And here it is that in the Black community, you guys have still decided to pour into him. This man has insulted the very fabric of the being of you as a parent in the Black community, with the assumption that every person who is Black they have the same characteristics. They have the same situation. He has decided to negate what allows us the flexibility to understand the complexities of the way our children are individuals, and sometimes they learn as individuals, and said that there is nothing wrong with these kids, but they're lazy as hell. So how can you, as a school psychologist, if that is what your job is, how can you help these kids to become more functional to the extent to where they're now able to retain the information that they were previously struggling with? Oh, I totally get that, right? I get that it was due to somebody challenging him. However, these are definitely antisocial personality characteristics. 100%. That's when they act out. That's when they show you a high level of insensitivity and disregard for your basic rights. He's threatening violence and inciting violence and sending people after folks. Like, there is even a component in here where he's threatening you, your name, you're mentioned. He's threatening Gerald. He's mentioned a lot of folks in here. There are a lot of names, mentioned in this video that was put together by Lennon Honor. And I feel like this right here, if nothing else, people, this video should have allowed you some space to where you went back and collected yourself and said, you know what? I don't want to continue to invest in this guy because he's not really helpful for our community. He's not really helpful for our kids. I get that we've been a very, very oppressed people in general in the past, but I want to have a really difficult conversation with you guys about that piece. What does that mean for you in the here and now? What does that mean for the future of the children that you're intending to put in these schools and continue to condition them to believe that they are lesser than by telling them that other people feel a certain way towards them when that isn't evident in their encounters, because you're not there for their encounters? So what I have a problem with is parents who are in the Black community and naturally have conversations with their children that vicariously traumatize their children, and then condition biases in their children that should never be there, because they should never be anxious about the possibility of hostility that has never been a part of their narrative prior to you having that conversation. So I want people to have these levels of introspect while you guys are watching this. What you do when you talk to your kids in that manner, what you do when you condition your children in that manner, it's the exact same thing that Umar Johnson has done, not only to you, not only to the Black community, not only to your neighbors, not only to your friends, not only to every single person that has watched this content on the internet, but this is the exact same thing that Umar Johnson has done to the cult that he has created. And as a result of the conditioning, it has created a cult. Come on, people. I'm going to need you guys to make this stuff make sense for me. This is absolutely berserks. I know, right? But come on, let's listen to some more of this rhetoric.
You're looking at my stomach for, nigga. You think I waste any time looking at your nut ass? I gotta go. One of them
Okay,
is
wait.
William Clay. I need this motherfucker's address. I need this motherfucker's address. I'm going to go see him this weekend. Enough is enough. Number 2 is homosexual Gerald Palmer. Find that coward's address. Work or home. Find it. I'm pulling up on him. Mukasa, Africa. He's been hiding out lately, but he started the whole shit. He a little bitch ass nigga from Philly who used to work at the same charter school, Keppera Charter School. Okay? Find that bitch ass nigga because he started this. I'ma see your bitch ass. Okay? And another one is Andrea Stewart. She's the one on YouTube, Anti-Afro Svengali. Anti-Afro Svengali. She's in California. I want to pull up on her when I go out to Cali next month for the parent training. Lenore Honor. I'm tired of this bitch nigga too. This is the weak ass dude who got nothing but YouTube videos about me on YouTube. Lenorhonor. I had enough of him too. Monty Woodgrain, I'm gonna fuck him up too. So if you could get Monty's address, it's time for me to see Monty too. Monty Woodgrain, I'm in your ass. Lenore Honor, I'm in your ass. William Clay, I'm in your ass. Gerald Palmer, I'm in your ass. Anti-Svengali, I'm in your ass. In Mukasa, Africa, I'm in your ass. I'm tired of the bullshit. William Clay, Gerald Palmer, Mukasa, Africa, Lenore Honor, Monty Woodgrain, Andrea Stewart. Hold on. Yeah. Nah, I got this. We are in the middle of a war. I want all my Dr. Umar supporters, Team Ifa Tunde, suit up, buckle up, grip up, because I'm done with the dumb shit from the haters. Shout out to the Goonie Goons who've been reaching out to me. Kansas City Goonie Goons is ready to do what they need to do. My Philly Goons is ready.
Is referring to would be the same so-called black boy thugs that Umar Johnson wants to murder.
A lot of boys who got the thug energy.
Shout out to the Goonie Goons who've been reaching out to me.
I know, because I do therapy with them thugs.
Here's my problem with what we just saw. Not only are you calling for bodily harm to come to these people on a public platform, like, oh gosh, you know. Not only is that what you're doing, but let's talk about the fact that your phone rang when you were allegedly on the phone with someone that was calling to ask you whether or not you needed to have those folks handled. Yeah. Maybe nobody else caught that, but I did. That stands out for me. Another thing that stands out for me is that one of these little snippets during this video, and you guys definitely go out to Lenore Honor and check this out, right? Umar isn't a therapist and he calls clients thugs. Disgusting. I don't believe that he is. I know for a fact that if he went to school to become a therapist, because they mentioned marriage and family therapy discipline, there is no systemic practitioner that views life through this lens, and there's no way to do it after you've gone through that intense education if it's a COAMFI accredited university. Hello. But I have to say this. You guys go over here and check out this school video, because I'm only kind of scrolling through the areas that I saw like some huge issues where, oh yeah, I talked about that early. Oh yeah. Yeah, we're getting to that part too. But you're inciting violence. You're inciting violence. Like, in people. You are, and that's not right. You can't do that. You can't do that. Oh, somebody else caught the fake phone call too? Because like my son, one of the things that my son captured when I was trying to review this content, because it took me so long to get through all of his stuff. My son realized that on one of these things where it was supposed to be, allegedly it was one of his goons, it actually looks just like him. So his right to call himself a doctor is going to be contingent upon his level of education. And so yeah, I think so, because in the call to straighten up his behavior that his father did mention that he had a PhD. So going off of that, I'm going to say it's probably valid, right? And there is a lot of controversy in the United States around the language of therapists, but even community behavioral health workers are typically referred to as therapists. And so that language is so used so interchangeably, and the laws are different in every state in the United States. And as an international family therapy, there are some, for us, we register. We don't go through the process of separate licensure because that's a part of what's required in order for you to graduate. But I don't, man, this is crazy. To see somebody that is a professional in this industry in any way, that has gone to school in any way to acquire an advanced degree in any way, just to acquire the credentials. For me, I talk about this all the time in the Black community. I have lots of people, tons of people that I know who have gone to school for lengths of time and they've acquired education, but there is nothing up here in relation to the education that is supposed to relate to the degree that they have. And that's a problem for me. And that's an issue in our community. I don't understand how it is that we go to institutions to become educated in the thing and we don't retain the information and the knowledge there. We don't have validity for it. We don't have a value for it. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like after acquiring the education, we do whatever it is that we want to do, right? And so it is what it is. Okay. You say, let me see. Umar's home state and in all the states. So no, not in all the states. I'm in Georgia, also in Florida, in North Carolina, South Carolina, in Washington, where I own a business as well. And actually, as a marriage and family therapist, business owner in the state of Washington, you're still a marriage if you have an advanced degree in marriage and family. So a doctor of marriage and family therapy or a master's degree in marriage and family therapy, that's literally your degree classification. So you can call yourself a therapist. And in Washington State, you only need a license if you're going to supervise. But that's also an issue for me, because I feel like in the United States, there is no clarity across the board, which is why the counseling compact is a thing that we're pushing for right now, because there needs to be symmetry across the board, especially in cases like COVID and things like that. But as long as a person is a master's degree holder and they're practicing under the supervision in an agency with a clinical director who is licensed, that term can be used interchangeably. Because a therapist intern is still a therapist. I don't feel like he's targeting just Black single mothers, though. I feel like Umar's target is the Black community in general. He has solicited money from lots of Black men. So it's easy for us when we take offense to the content and the rhetoric that he's pushing. It's easy for us to take offense because obviously his comments go towards the inadequacies of Black women because those are the mothers. However, indirectly, it also targets the Black men. And some of these Black men are also equally looking for solutions to the issue of the Black community's issue, right? They're looking for a solution as to how it is that we can come together, how we can bridge the gap, how we can become more united, how we can educate one another, if we can help one another, right? And if so, how? And they saw this guy has a viable solution. You know, obviously our schools are failing, not us as parents, but our schools are failing. And as a result of our schools failing, the schools failing our children, we're going to go ahead and take this Black guy's directive and we're going to send our kids to that school. So let's go ahead and invest our money in his initiative. He's using Black men to reach out to ball players and things like that and get this extra money that he's searching for. So I feel like it's the Black community and the insecurities that are seated in the Black community that he is targeting. That's what he's using to run these scams. But I can't even say that. Yeah, you should. As an adjunct professor, I have to know because my students have to do that research as a part of their preparing for their internship or practicum. He says, his mind seems so disordered with his grandiose ideas. He never really finishes anything. I agree. He's all over the place and he's very unstable. His emotions are extremely unstable. He has a series of issues presenting, a series of issues. Another thing, unless one has a state license, they're unable to get an NPI number. NPIs are tied specifically to the type of license. State license, NPI number. Well, I can't say that that's, I was just about to say, I can't say that that's true because I'm a medical doctor. However, having acquired an advanced degree also in marriage and family therapy at the graduate level after retiring from the military, I have an NPI number, not only for my businesses, my organization, my business and my organization or whatever, but also for myself, for seeing clients. So, but I think it's a state-by-state basis type of thing because in my advocacy work for having more balance across the board, like the rest of the countries have, because in other countries we don't have this issue. We don't have to question across one country what the rules are, right? In the different states or different territories. It's across the board. And I think that that's what needs to happen in America. America has so many little issues with division and somebody trying to account for this pocket of money or that pocket of money. It's too many issues, and I think that that's what makes this field so complex. But that's a whole separate conversation. Yeah, but I'm talking about for mental health, a separate NPI for mental health, because that's what I practice in primarily now. But so I don't understand why people decided to invest in this guy. Their physical energy, their hopes, dreams, and aspirations, their finances. And of course, people are willing to risk their lives. One thing that really stood out for me is that this dude says that he's never taken a life. But you're willing to do that? You know that you're willing to do that, but you've never done it? I'm a person that's been to combat. Help me understand that mindset of a person who is inciting rage and hate in people, but you've never had to go through what it's like to be in the aftermath of doing this particular thing that you're asking other people to do. Furthermore, you say that you've never been arrested. You've never experienced jail. There is no way I will be out here breaking the law, doing these things that you're doing, making terroristic threats, and I've never been to jail at all. And we're talking about committing a federal crime. I'm not about to be out here committing a federal crime and then go to federal penitentiary. What's the matter with you? I think that this dude really needs to have, I don't know, he needs to have a heart-to-heart with his father. Because in his father trying to appeal to his greater level of common sense, what I saw is pain, embarrassment, shame. And I don't know about his mother. You know, I saw the name when we were doing the research, but I don't know if she's still alive. So true. Right. So I don't know because Umar's dad on that video, and I think that that's coming up next. He said that you've gone through all these years of college and you have a PhD. That's what he said. So I'm only going off of that. Like, I don't know, but let me see. Let me see, because maybe I missed something because I was kind of distracted while I was listening because it was just so much to listen to. Well, come on, let's listen to some more.
GIRL.
Yeah, it's got to be you
Reverend
because the
Girl
sound is on
Palmer,
this end.
We coming for you. We coming for you. 2009.
Many more people have spoken about. Listen,
You should be in.
Okay, so I asked the question if anybody else was having issues with the sound. So has everybody else pretty much been able to hear the content that was being presented in that video that I was showing? Because apparently, like that's a huge component to us being able to have this conversation. Let's see what the comments were. Umar is out of control. He may need slow drips of Thorazine 3 times daily. Thorazine is used to treat schizophrenia for the most part, in very rare occasions. Bipolar disorder symptoms, the psychotic features of bipolar disorder, but I really don't think that that's what we're dealing with in Umar. I really, really, really think we're dealing with a multiple personality disorders that are at bay for him. I see definitely narcissistic components or characteristics, but he's a better fit for antisocial personality disorder with borderline personality disorders, simply because I'm looking at the way that he's redefined himself, the hypersensitivity, his hypervigilance, the transient psychosis. I'm looking at all of these components. Like he really has in his mind, he lives in a state of delusion where he's completely dissociated from reality. Yeah, it's sad because, like, you know, I'm looking at this person who's given their account of him, you know, defrauding him. And this person is a person who is innocent bystander, a person that is a citizen of the Black community who is thinking to himself, like I was saying earlier, like, oh, this guy sounds like, excuse me, he may have the solution to the discord in the Black community. He really might have the answer. Maybe all we need is a school where our children can go and learn about where they really come from, right? Where our children can be taught the basics of being human and being proud in their existence, or whatever it is that the many Black people think is the issue in Black culture that Umar has a solution for. I think that there are several issues, and I feel like there is a lack of accountability across the board. I totally agree with you outside looking in, because I think that his father, that's why I played the entirety of his father's video. His father did that video. To what I saw is that was an appeal to Umar. That was him saying, maybe I missed that. Maybe I missed something. Let me help you. Let me help you, son. As a Black man that wants to be represented in this initiative of yours, as a Black man who is responsible for having cultivated and shaped the personality, the person that you are today, let me take accountability and bring you back in. Please stop. You understand? And I just feel like we are such a broken community. That piece, I keep going back to accountability. We are so broken as people that we continue to support him. The Breakfast Club has their own set of issues. How could you possibly have a person on air representing your radio station, regardless of how much money he's brought forward and how much controversy he, uses to entertain his audience? There is something wrong with us in our community when we say that the only thing that we gravitate to is controversy. The things that are surrounding mental health and wellness, physical health and wellness, the things that are surrounding our us solidifying who we are, helping us become better versions of ourselves, the things that encourage us to be good people, decent people, we don't gravitate to that content. We gravitate to the content that is negative, that is hostile, that is controversial, where people are disrespecting one another. And it has to be people of our color, the people that look like us. Look, if we just look at the ratings that Love and Hip Hop and TV shows and stuff like that get, if we look at how much attention the inadequacies of the Black culture get versus the manners in which the Black culture can improve or elevate and appropriate themselves in spaces. If we just look at that comparison alone, we would understand that there is something wrong with the way that we receive the world around us, that we activate ourselves into that environment around us, the way that we receive other people receiving us, our perceptions. We have to change, we have to shift them. If we don't want to be taken and victimized by this guy is saying that women are whores as a result of them being victimized, raped. It's their fault. Let me see. Let's go to these comments. Right. He's nearly 50 years old. He can't make people do anything they don't want to do. His father can't force him to get help. He has to want to, and he is too self-absorbed to see him as a problem. To be honest with you, that's not necessarily true. So people who know Umar personally are very much capable of getting an injunction rendered by the state and having them forcibly take him in for a 72 observation for crisis stabilization. So they could always go to the courts and get, an injunction for a 72-hour hold, a 1013. They can get that done, and the police will assist in picking him up. This guy has made threats against the physical safety and well-being of police officers. This guy has made threats against the physical safety and well-being of young Black boys. This guy has made threats of the physical safety and the well-being of other clinicians. This guy has made threats of the physical safety and well-beings of people who are YouTube content creators who have spoken out against him. This guy has made threats to the physical safety and well-being of people who have donated to his cause and then questioned his positions and where he's putting their money. What's wrong with us? So I see that every time he is challenged, he answers it with a threat than a real answer to what's being said. I totally agree with that. And I feel like the reason is he's hypersensitive because he knows that he's manipulating people. And people have got to stop donating. People have got to stop looking outward for the solutions that they can solve and find within their systems. People have got to start getting the help that they need. We've got to stop stigmatizing getting mental help. Okay? We need help with our mental and behavioral issues. We need help managing and responding to engaging distress in our emotions. We need help doing that. These are not things that typically we innately do well when we have not been exposed to those things. His father made it clear that this dude is not from the streets. You're not about these streets that you're talking about. So let me help you. Bring it in. You want to act like a gangster, but you're not impressing anybody. Not here, not there, not nowhere. You are a person who is in need of help. And this is your father reaching out to you. Come on now. What's one-sided? So you don't see the consistent attacks and harassment against him and those that support him. Okay, so you're the person that I asked people to share this with so you could come here for this content and give me some answers. So help me understand, what is it that you saw in Umar in his initiative that made you want to go and follow him? And I'm not here to judge you. I'm just here for accountability. Remember that. Because now I'm really curious as to what leads people to move into a position to where this is what they end up getting. Can a judge put him on a mandate supervised medication management for the time and duration that he's inside of an inpatient hospitalization program, for the duration of that 72 hours and then that extension up to 5 days, depending on his mental state at the time of a reassess? They can treat him while he's in the facility. However, treatment, medication is optional unless the person is irate while they're in there, and then of course we can forcibly introduce Haldol, Ativan, things to help calm them down and stabilize them from that standpoint. But the reality is this: I'm not going to lie. Some medications only exacerbate symptoms, and what I'm seeing in this guy is either mental issues that are induced as a result of substance use, or it's borderline personality disorder mixed with antisocial personality disorders with psychotic features. That is what I'm seeing. I don't know what you guys are seeing. And that's just from me filtering through the years of his content. So he says, what leads people to attack him and undermine his mission just because he doesn't hold the same beliefs as they do? What beliefs are those? Help me understand what beliefs those are, because what I see is that what he's putting out here into the atmosphere is that there is a race war. There is a inter-race war that needs to happen, and he is the person inciting that war. That's what I'm seeing from his content that I've played this entire hour and 37 minutes and 39 seconds. Have you ever been in his presence or had a conversation with him? I have invited him to my platform after I did my first video. However, I was threatened with physical bodily harm by his followers. He's in Atlanta today. I have extended the invitation. He's not accepted. That's the status of that. Because I'm more than willing, and I mentioned that at the very beginning of this video, more than willing to have him on and have a conversation with him, because I would like to further assess what's really going on, because sometimes people present a different version of themselves out there for the internet because they're only out here for entertainment. But in other instances, people are very much being authentically themselves, but they're disconnected with reality, in reality. And as a result, their emotional responses, those ups and downs, those highs and lows, these rants that he's on, they're indicative of something else going on there. And I don't know. Maybe he was triggered. Who knows? That's something. So anybody else that's a follower, avid follower of Umar Johnson, that can help me understand what brought you guys into alignment with his mission, and what his mission is, essentially. As Umar's father said on that video, if your mission is if your outcome, because I'm a person about pragmatics, if your outcome is to help the Black community, if your outcome is to reach out to these children that are in disdain, if your outcome is to help these young Black people stop killing each other, if your outcome is to bring Black people to a greater level of sense of self after you find your sense of self, if your outcome is to help the Black community in any way, then you would not be on the internet calling for the physical demise of people that, are in disagreement with you. Adult people learn how to have some level of resolve and sit down and solve issues without having to resort to violence, even when threatened. What was my response? I just said that if he was willing to come on this panel, I'm more than willing to have a conversation with him. That's the truth. because regardless of whether or not I agree with his insights or I disagree with his insights, he's entitled to his opinion. He's a person, he's a human being. However, what he's not entitled to is to incite hate, division, violence, and further confusion amongst the Black culture that is already in a confused state of being right now. We're very volatile. We're at a very sensitive state of our becoming in this nation right now. There are just too many issues for somebody to be amongst us and inciting the type of rage and hatred and divide that this guy is putting out there. This rhetoric, I just feel like is uncalled for. So says, if he knows that you have already made your assessment of him, what would he come to you for? I didn't make any assessment of him. Actually, at the point where I asked him to come on, I had just saw the first video snippet of his content. Okay, that was a couple of days ago, I think. This dude has not been on my radar. Call me a dinosaur. I'm not huge on the internet and stuff like that. I'm just now expanding to YouTube. I do have a pretty large podcast, Life Discussions with Dr. Jefferson, wherever you listen to podcasts, but that's not done on YouTube. So this component is something that I'm newly deciding to push forward because my following on other social media is so large. I figured YouTube is probably a better fit simply because Facebook has too many restrictions, blocks, and too much extra stuff going on with the algorithms over there. And I hear YouTube is a little bit different, but who knows if it really is. But so if you don't know his mission, you obviously have not watched any of his videos. I just watched a ton of his videos right here, a lot of his speeches. You're coming in a bit late, so why don't you go back to the very beginning, rewind about an hour or so, and so you said you are already skewed in what you think of him. Absolutely not. I'm only commenting on what I'm directly observing in his behaviors in these videos, and also his responses to his followers, and also his responses to people that don't follow him, and also his lack of a response and accountability to his father, and also to his father's video content that he put out there about his condition and current state of being and current state of mind, and also about the financials that have been presented about this project that he's been working on. Because let me tell you something, there are several things that for me, I've done. Being a person that has immersed themselves in several cultures, I've lived in several different places, states, and everything. I've done a lot of business. I'm a businesswoman. So I know that sometimes it takes a longer period of time than not to get some things up and running. So for me, I come here, like I said, for accountability. So I want to see the reality that's behind what his vision may or may not be. However, what he says in his vision, what he says in his speeches, what he says, and all of this rhetoric is not in alignment. It's in misalignment. So he's directly contradicting himself. 1 minute he says that he believes in what he does. Okay. He has, according to him, a degree in psychology. You're a psychologist. That would mean that you have and you encompass a full lens of diagnostics that are a part of the human condition, not just a Black condition, not just a white condition, but the human condition. That would also mean that you understand the symptom presentation and what that looks like when it comes to diagnosing people in real life. That means that you wouldn't be coming up with thoughtish personality disorder because you would know that those symptoms that you align yourself with describing in those women are definitely in alignment with borderline personality disorder, but also definitely in alignment with other stress-related disorders. And so you would know what you're trying to do and what you're trying to put out there has already been covered. Furthermore, you wouldn't be pushing or impressing upon people that lesbianism or being gay is still is very much a mental illness. However, it's not justified in being removed from the DSM, and the people that are a part of LGBTQIA plus community are still problematic and have mental symptoms, because we have gender dysphoria also, and that represents the vast majority of the people that identify with that population. But that's a whole nother conversation. So for me, okay, Just so for me, it's how incongruent his messages are. Okay, how incongruent his rhetoric is. Period. Hey, how are you? Thank you for stopping by. But let's go to his mission. Did he post it already? No, somebody else. Let's see. I have been following. So okay, so you're also a follower since 2009. So you're trying to figure out what his mission is as well. So she's been following him since 2009. So why don't you give that to a fellow follower? Give that information to her, because she's obviously not skewed in her position on this topic. This man is referring to people as whores, instead of looking at the deeper seated issue that motivates the specific behaviors that he is referring to. But he's a psychologist. Exactly. I'm 100% here if he needs the help, if he wants the help, even if he doesn't want the help and his family wants the help and they see that he's in the state of crisis. Because the reality is this: I can't assess his state of being and what his his regular everyday behavior looks like. I can't talk to that because I can't speak to that. I'm not his family member. I'm not a person who's close to him, which is why I keep going back to his father's video is what drives the diagnostic lens that I am now exploring. Because for me, it is your parent showing up and going out, taking the time out of his day to walk around this property that you allegedly have invested in. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. Awesome. To walk around this property that you have invested in to give you motivation to get your stuff together. Because for you, this should be an embarrassing moment for you, because he's saying that these behaviors are not typical for you. He's never seen them. Who knows? I don't know. Or maybe he missed up, like I talked about before. But your father is reaching out to you via video and trying to help you. And obviously, clearly, this is a person that has known you for the duration of your entire life. I just watched an entire video that his dad did, calling for him to be accountable for his misdeeds, his missteps, and his misspeaking on social media. And that's the most recent video that his father did. For me, make it make sense. So let's watch some more video. And you still haven't told me what his vision is. What you still haven't clarified that for me or the people in the back.
First, Monty Woodgrain, I'm in.
You mean
And
that
if it is
father?
around, it's for the young boy.
That
You're
one?
45 years old. What are
Him?
you trying to prove?
So I have watched King Kong Consciousness. I've watched his stuff too. Yeah. That's actually where I got the original content from. So you said we can look at this objectively, not just Umar, although he is the topic presently. Please double expose how can Umar be helped? Okay, and so this, let me make this very clear. I know that some of you are watching me for the first time, but Life Discussions with Dr. Jefferson is a channel that focuses on accountability and, of course, elevation, education, and insight in the Black community. That is what I'm here for. I'm about accountability, asking the difficult questions, having the difficult conversations that obviously make us uncomfortable, because for us, if we were to accept those truths, we would operate from a place of defensiveness, which is exactly what this guy is doing in his defense of Dr. Umar. So Umar is not African, and that is not even the proper spelling for African. So that's another thing in the Black community that is extremely, I don't know, I just don't understand it. Instead of educating yourself, when you come from people that take pride in education, that take pride in their heritage and who they are, we're so lost that we feel like we have to recreate and divide and, create languages to fit our agenda of our lost purpose. That is a problem. That's a problem, period. That's a problem. And when you follow people that teach you to be those same ways, that teach you to be, to live in that same idea, that's an issue. That's an issue that we have as a community of people, as a collective of people, as a unified people, as an individual, all of that. That's an issue for us. It just is. African people from Africa are not illiterate by any means. I don't know what Africa you guys have been to, but definitely not any of the nations that I've visited out of the 400. They are not illiterate. They are not without pride. They are not without proper representation. They are not people that feel like they need to recreate their culture. They're not people that are completely dissociated from who they are. They are people not only that understand who you are and where you come from, but also who they are and where they come from and what makes them unique in their experience of being them. And they take pride in understanding English and speaking it, but also their native tongue. They don't have a problem with incorporating the positions that are a part of the cultures that they're cultivating themselves in, that they're becoming one with. They don't have a problem with any of that. Our problem in the Black American culture is that we assume that everything has been forced upon us. Everything has been forced. Nothing has been forced upon you. Your parents wanted you to become educated, so they sent you to school. So if you are angry about acquiring an education in America, then you should be angry at your parents. America is the only place you can go to school for free. Okay. The amount of entitlement and lack of accountability across the board in this culture is absolutely insane to me. Period. If you have a citizenship document by way of a birth certificate and a social security card that has been issued by the United States of America, your identity is American. If you go anywhere else, if you travel into any other country, that is how those people will see you. Period. That is fact. That's fact. So we have to stop creating these delusions that satisfy our insecurity in being Black, in being and emerging ourselves in the Black experience. That is our problem, period. So the accountability has to be here. You guys need to show up for the accountability, because let me tell you something. Umar only exists because insecurity in the Black community exists. Umar only exists because people that were so insecure that could not see and find the resources within themselves, could not gather with the right folks in their own community and build or rebuild the platform in which they are descendants of. That's the reason that Umar exists. That's the reality, people. If you feel so insecure in being here and being American, then leave and go to another country. Period. If you feel like you're going to have a better experience in Africa and you will be received there, and you feel like you're going to learn and connect how you want and when you want to those people, go there and find out. And then as you are there, you're so happy that you're so disconnected from America and American citizenship. If you really and truly do not want to be an American, leave America. That's the part that I don't understand. If you're so unhappy in your seated position in the Black American community that you feel the need to live in this delusional subset, just leave. What is so hard about that? What is so hard about that? Why don't you go to Nigeria? Let me tell you something. Your American money converts to wealth there. Just saying. About 20 American dollars is about what? Almost 500 naira? It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. Been there, done that. So let me tell you guys, let me help you out. I'm gonna give you some resources. If that is what you feel you need, then do up and leave. Get your things, pack it up, and go. Umar is a problem to the security of the sense of self of young Black people. Umar is a problem to the security of identity in Americans that are adults in America. Not only Black, but also white ones. Umar is a problem to the security, the physical security of police officers. He is really an issue. He really is. So you guys are either going to band together, get this guy the help that he needs after recognizing that you've been bamboozled, because apparently you've been bamboozled. That's a fact. That's not even opinion. Not at all. I would want to know. It's smart, financial sense to know where your money is going when you're investing. Period, point blank. That's just being financially wise. Period. Chinese are Chinese American in America. Because if they came from China, if they are Chinese, their citizenship is gained in America, and as a result, they're Chinese American. Hello. I'm Finnish American, by the way. So, Africans who come from Africa, who are citizens of Africa, and come here on a visa for whatever reason, they become, when they get their citizenship here, they're African American. You are not that. You're Black American. So excuse me. So let me make this really clear, okay? Accountability is what I'm here for. Okay? Double exposure, whatever that is. I need you to make it very clear what Umar Johnson's end game is in soliciting money from Black America in their time of need, in their insecurity, capitalizing on their distress, our distress, disrespecting our people, our children, threatening to harm our children. We complain about the police officers targeting our Black children. And you're telling me that Black America is not pissed off, is not upset about this man targeting their Black boys, because who knows? Their Black boy might be one of those Black boys that are standing on the corner waiting across the street one day. And as a result of Umar and his goons arming themselves and going into this war that nobody knows about but them, because it's delusional, apparently, they kill your young Black boy. When is this going to become a real issue for you folks? It's a real issue for me. I'm going to need somebody to share this content. I'm going to need you guys to have this conversation. I'm going to need you guys to find it within yourself to be pissed off. I'm going to need you guys to get passionate about your children your children that are at risk as a result of the rhetoric that this guy is pushing out there. I'm going to need you guys to get upset about the fact that he is delusional. I am going to need you guys to remove yourself from the following of this man who is making the culture of Black America look even more unstable than what it already is. Like, we don't need this. This isn't what we need. I feel like there is enough issues in this community. There are enough atrocities in our community. There is enough death in our community. Our young Black men are killing themselves. We don't need more of our young Black men killing themselves. We do not need our young Black men finding themselves taking up arms against one another because they have been incited into a war by a person that is insecure, unstable, and a mess. We don't need that. That's not what we need. So I need to appeal to the sense of you guys from a parental level, if not anything else. As parents, is this what you want for your children's future? Do you want them to continue to be a lost generation that is searching for definition, that is searching for purpose in a person that is currently spiraling? I'm still unclear what his end game is. And I have watched hours of content now. And still nobody has given me the answer as to what this guy's end game is. Nobody has given me the answer as to what his vision started out. None of that. From what I gather, he was moving to help Black America that had a problem with an influx of single mothers, single Black mothers that are responsible for raising kids in a situation where parents that are fathers are absent from the situation. And as a result, these boys are lost. And his objective was to start teaching and rebranding these young people so they could be a better representative sample of what Black culture means. That's what I gathered initially. And then things started to spiral. So I'm concerned as to whether or not he got lost in his mission. I'm lost as to whether or not in his being lost in his mission, if there is something that a precipitating factor or event that just made him spiral, or if it was substances at bay, or if it was just, him just not being used to the level of popularity or the responses of the people. Who knows? There could be a host of events that happen, but make this make sense for me. And what I cannot do is stand with a person who thinks that the solution to the issue in the Black America, right, in this Black America, is for more Black men to kill each other. I don't get it. I don't get it. I feel like the judicial system is there for a reason. And I think that he made a very valid point that some of our young men have gone so far off the deep end that, they can't be navigated back easily. I'm going to add that part. They can't be navigated back to normal behavior easily. Everybody can be helped, right? So the thing is, even if it's going to take a little bit more effort, even if it's going to take a larger village, even if it's going to take a larger collaboration of people with the mindset of passion driving their outcomes to help these Black communities stabilize, where the crime is so high that we no longer recognize ourselves. We no longer recognize our value, right? Even if it takes that, we're willing to do the work to really help people become and achieve stability. Get out of the mindsets that lead them down a negative path, that make them create more violence in the community, that make them respond hostile, that make them respond unjustly to their brethren when they disagree, when they don't do what they want to. We just need people that are going to be passionate about going in there and removing the idea that fast money is good money, appropriate money, and things like that. So we have to do the work, people. We have to do the work. You said as a school psychologist, he saw the disproportionate misdiagnosis and medication of Black African boys. So I'm going to go back to that. Black American boys are not African boys, and that's not the correct spelling. And no one was doing anything to reverse it. Lots of people do things to reverse it, and it's not a misdiagnosis if all the indicators are there. So if he's the person that is there doing the testing, and that's what a psychologist is there for, psychological tests, psychometrics, that's what they do. Some of them are counseling psychologists too, but if that's his job and he's rendering the diagnosis based on the information collected over a host of different studies, it's not only Black boys, it's young boys. And I think that he did make a point when he talked about lazy parents. Okay, that part is extremely valid. Sometimes parents are lazy, and I do think that parents have to take accountability, because this issue wouldn't exist had the parents been accountable for their deeds. He wouldn't exist. He wouldn't. I believe in systemic resolution. So I feel like in order for us to achieve a systemic resolution, we got to look at the problem in the same way. But that's not there. Okay. That's neither here nor there. But I feel like when he said that, he was valid in that, because it's not just Black families. We have a thing in the Black community where we want to make everything about being Black, but it's not. When you have a disenfranchised population of people, when you have a marginalized population of people that don't have adequate exposure to the resources that are necessary for people to remain balanced, calibrated, and on an equilibrium that moves toward success, and them acquiring the education that they need, lazy teachers and lazy parents are a conduit to the diagnoses that these children end up with. So that is an issue in our community that we definitely need to address. That's not the issue that is addressed by way of entering or inciting violence and hostility amongst a nation of people who are already confused in their identity, who already have a loss of sense of self, who are already struggling for where they belong in this particular country where they already live. So I feel like that's not a viable option to end the issue. Okay, so it's about pragmatics. Make it make sense to me. But so what I will say is this. Lots of people in the helping field have been doing the work that it takes to help people move to a greater level of functionality, to help children that are in marginalized populations achieve greatness, to help parents achieve greatness, to position parents into a place where they understand the best way to alleviate symptom presentation in their children when they do appear hypersensitive as a result of attachment trauma that does happen oftentimes in the Black community. That is an issue there for us. But I think that we have to take accountability for pedestalizing this guy who is the detriment of the Black community in America, because that's what he is. He is a perpetuation to the violence and the confusion and the demise of our community. His methods will remove our Black men. And I feel like it's time for us to do, as women especially, to do a call to action so that we can protect our men. These young men are our future, period. They are. And it doesn't mean that they are beyond reach, beyond reproach. Yes, they may be confused. Yes, they may be lost. Yes, they may be extremely volatile, but it doesn't mean that they cannot be helped. It doesn't mean that they cannot be guided. It doesn't mean they cannot be coached, because just like he incited this energy in them, we can put positive energy into the atmosphere. We can put positive energy into our communities. We can do the work that will help balance out our community. We can do that. Why not band together to alleviate the symptom presentation in the Black community? Why not do that? Why not hold Umar accountable for the things that he has been doing, the amount of racism and divide that he has caused amongst our people? Why not hold this man accountable? there are too many contradictory statements that he's made over the course of him speaking to people. And it's just too much. We have to do better, people. For those of you who are watching me for the first time, understand that Life Discussions with Dr. Jefferson is an accountability platform. We have the difficult conversations here, talk about controversial issues. If you guys have any topic suggestions or anything that you would like for me to approach from accountability lens or pragmatics lens, send those to doclqj@gmail.com. And I'm here for it. I will definitely cover it. Let's see. Acknowledge the issues in the Black/African community, but you follow it with a but and minimize what's going on. So I don't minimize anything. Nothing is minimized here. I'm 100% for accountability across the board. I'm with it. If you guys are willing to start a roundtable and you want to be a part of the discussion, if you want to be a part of the solution and not the problem, then I'm here for it. Send me an email. Let's get it started. Let's get it started, because I'm passionate about reforming what is left of our future with our young Black people. That's just what it is. What's the delusional stalker? Who is the delusional stalker that I'm listening to? As I mentioned before, nobody influences my ideas. I'm 100% unbiased. I'm an outside party who has no interest one way or the other, but I'm definitely about accountability, period. The but was that was not what the conversation was about. However, accountability is needed on all parts. So maybe you need to rewind and replay and then sit with the content that you hear. So that is all that I have, you guys, for my show. I absolutely love you guys. If you've not already liked and subscribed and shared the content, go ahead and do that big push down. And for those of you who came in on the end of this video, go back and rewind it from the end to the beginning so that you can catch the content that I have displayed today via this video and how we've gone back and forth through the video to review the content. And you can also catch the commentary. So, as always, please be good to yourselves and others and make good choices. Make it make sense for me, folks. Propose a solution to this issue. If you guys catch this on the replay, do let me know that you caught it on the replay. Type replay and then your solution to what the greater issue is in the Black community. So, later days.
Who alive can't put me in a box. I redefine any definition you got. I am the tiger, I'm making steps to the top. The flames, I'll rip it up, you just gotta hand me the rock. Take a seat, you cannot stand it. All I know, the flow harder than a Scotch bunny. Don't try studying me, you cannot manage. This ain't what you want, bitch, I'm a fucking phenomenon. This ain't what you want, bitch, I'm a fucking phenomenon.